Shalom again, Laila Tov for all of you. Laila Tov means good evening or good night in Hebrew. Happy to be here again to continue with the study of the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahushua HaMashiach. You know, here is the 2:34 a.m. and I don't feel tired. I haven't studied since 7 a.m. this morning during Shabbat, and I'm telling you, just just for you to understand the importance that it has for me to share all of this with you. I'm doing it as my terumah to YaHuWaH, it's my offering, my contribution, and I believe all of this information that I'm sharing with you is so critical, so important, that the intention of my heart is to release it as soon as possible, to share it with you as soon as possible, because I know since last year, or mainly 1.5 years ago, I started to feel a sense of urgency to start studying and sharing with others what I was receiving. And I think it's because of something, world today is so crazy. I have seen so many things happening, and the scriptures, prophecies fulfilling. I truly believe we are in the last days. I have another study, is a timeline of the last days with very interesting information, all revelations and understanding I have received. I'm planning to do it very soon, so please keep checking the channel. But the idea now is to continue with the study of this important topic. We already covered the first part in the previous video, in the part number 1. It was a long video. I already told you in that video that this is going to be a long study. So please be patient, keep attention, because everything that we will review is very, very, very important for us, because somehow it will give us the input in order to understand what is coming as well. So we will start today in the part number 2, that is the calendar disputes. So I mentioned in the part 1 of this study that there are some keys in order to open our understanding to the chronology of events of Yahushua death and resurrection. We already reviewed one of them. Is related what is a day, when the year starts, and the whole idea of that is that to identify that the Pesach, the 14th day of the Chodesh, is always landing in the 3rd day of the week. So please watch that video, because again, we are going step by step, building the foundation first, in order to get to the understanding of the chronology of events. That was the first part, important part that we review, and the second one is what YaHuWaH is telling us, that he is declaring the end from the beginning, and that we need to remember the events of old. So what we review the first Pesach ever, and that was in Mizraim, just during the night of watches, and we saw all the chronology of events, what happened, and just listen to the voice of YaHuWaH. He's declaring to us in that event what will happen in the future, what happened in the future since then. So throughout the whole history of Israel, including Mashiach, until now, until what's coming. So those were the two important topics that we got in the first part. So the other key is to understand that what happened during the Second Temple period, and somehow, as it's written over there, also what's happening today. All the disputes that we have with the calendar. During the Second Temple period, we will see it here also with all the support from the scriptures, that we really had the people really had the people in Israel in YaHuWaH had two totally different calendars. And this is really important because when Yahushua was walking on this earth in his first coming, that was the reality of the moment. People following one calendar, other group following another calendar. And yeah, I know that sounds nice, but we need to prove it. We need to find the support from the scripture. So no more talking now. Let's go to the presentation. That's the important point. So let me share with you the screen. And here we go. An important passage here, Yeshayahu 55, 8 and 9. This is Isaiah. I had some problems with that, with the name in English. In Spanish is Isaías. It's something similar in English. In Hebrew is Yeshayahu. And it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. My ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So, important recommendation from YaHuWaH. If we think that is something right, most probably it's not right, because he thinks differently to us. And that's why we need to understand how he thinks. And this is totally applicable to the calendar. And we saw it in the part 1, and we will understand what was going on during the Second Temple period. So the first thing that we will review, and here we will read a lot of things. There is a lot of text. Sorry for that, but there's no way to make a visual representation of this. But it's important for us to review what was going on during that period. And where we have this testimony, this is in the book of Maccabees. And I put Daniel there as well, and you will understand why I included Daniel in a moment. So everything that started in the Second Temple period started and is written on the book of the Maccabees. That was around 200 years before Mashiach. So it was important about what was happening in the land over there and with the Yahudim, because they were passing through a lot of changes, and those changes were to the core in some aspects, and those changes endured even during Yahushua's time here. So we will review some of the text. As always, I highlighted some part in order to understand the whole story. So we will start with a Maccabean bet. This is Second Maccabees, chapter 3, verse 1. And yeah, some people believe these are apocrypha and these are not a part of the scriptures. I think differently. As I was explaining you in the first video, we cannot judge somebody without listen to him first. That's the way that Torah, that's the way that YaHuWaH is teaching us. So if you have not read yet the book of Maccabees, I recommend you to do it, because there are so many important information there that for me it was very important to understand things that some missing parts that I wasn't able to find in the canonical version of the scriptures. So it says, 2 Maccabees 3:1. Now when the Kodesh city, the holy city, the set-apart city, was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were guarded very well. So it was peace on the land, because the laws, the Torah, the Mishpatim, the Hukim, and the Mitzvot were guarded very well. And why was that? Because of the righteousness of Onyah the Kohen Hagol and his hatred of wickedness. We know that when we have a leader that is living in the righteousness of the Malchut Hashemayim, the righteousness of the kingdom of heaven, the righteousness of Torah, the righteousness of YaHuWaH, everything is okay. Everything is in peace. We are walking in truth. Everything around us is flowing in the good path. So I'm not gonna cover it over here, but on you can look it for yourself, and because this is very important as well. On was a descendant of Zadok, and Zadok, was a descendant of Aharon. So it's basically the lineage of Aharon, the priesthood, the lawful priesthood lineage. In order to serve in the Hechal, the temple. So when Onyah, the descendant of Zadok, was serving in the temple, he was living in righteousness, and that's why the city was in peace. So let's continue. Let's read 2 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 7 to 15. So let's see what happened after everything was in peace. But after the days of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes, took the reign, Jason, the brother of Onyah, acted corruptly to be Kohen Hagadol. Amazing. His brother started to act corruptly because he wanted to take the position of Kohen Hagadol and take his brother out. And the position of Kohen Hagadol is a position that YaHuWaH designed. He determined who should be the person taking that position. So it's not that man is going to take it by themselves. And also, always needs to be a person from the lineage of Aaron. So let's continue. Promising to a sovereign by intercession 360 talenton of silver and 80 talenton from another revenue. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have authority, and listen to this, to establish a place for exercise and for the training up of youth in the manner of the Gentiles. Something wrong here. He's pushing to do something that is not written in Torah, a custom that is not part of what YaHuWaH is teaching us. And this Jason, the brother of Onyah, is trying to get the position, promising the new king to do all of this. Let's continue. And to describe those of Jerusalem by the name of Antiochians. Interesting. Which, when the sovereign had granted, and he had acquired the rulership into his hand, he promptly brought his own nation to Yawanite manner. This is very, very important. Who is Yawanite? Yawanite is Greek. So Jason started to push and push more and bring all his nation, all the Yahudim, to live according to the Greeks, in the way that the Greeks were living. That was going on 200 years before Yahushua living on earth. That was during the Second Temple period. Let's continue. And he took away the royal privileges granted by special favor to the Yahudim by means of Yahohanan, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for peace and assistance, and putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up new custom against the law. Unbelievable. He put down the governments which were according to the law, and he brought up new custom, new manners that are against the law. So again, a change in the core on the way that the people should live according to Torah, according to YaHuWaH's way. For he gladly built an exercise arena under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection, and made them wear a hat. That sounds suspicious, right? Have you seen in the land of Israel today people wearing a hat? The first time that I read this book and read this passage, for me it was amazing. I think I was reading it during a trip in Israel, and I was doing it in front of my eyes, and I couldn't believe it. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm making the wrong connection, but it's a very weird connection. I don't know. Let's continue. Now such was the hate of YaHuWaH ways. Again, YaHuWaH is Greek, and it's important because if you see the generations and on their ship, you will see a person called YaHuWaH. I don't remember in which chapter it is, but the Hebrew name of Greece is YaHuWaH. So the Greeks are the YaHuWaH. So that's why we can trace from all the descendants of Noah, I think, who came from who the YaHuWaH came. So let's read it again. Now such was the hate of YaHuWaH's weight and increase of Gentiles' manner through the exceeding profaneness of Jason. So this Jason did all of this, unbelievable. He was the brother of Onyah. His brother was a righteous guy. He was a totally unrighteous person. That wicked wretch and no Kohen Hagadol. That the Kohenim had not heart to serve anymore at the altar. Unbelievable. See what happened. But despising the Hall, the temple, and neglecting the slaughterings, hastened to be partakers of the lawful allowance in the exercise arena. The Kohenim despised the Hall. They neglected the service that YaHuWaH assigned to them in order to participate in the exercise arena. So it's basically changing YaHuWaH for the world. And it is written in the scriptures, if we become friends of the world, we become enemies of YaHuWaH. And that's why all the stories that was happening to the people of YaHuWaH on those times, it was because exactly of this. They decided to give the priority to the world, to the material things, instead of giving the priority to YaHuWaH and to live according to his ways. Let's continue. Called out after the striking the gong, not remaining in the honors of their fathers, but loving the esteem of the YaHuWaH above all. You see, what is your treasure is where your heart is going to be. That's what Yahushua said. So if our treasure is in the world, our heart is going to be there. We are going to love those things. So that's why our main treasure has to be YaHuWaH, because if He's the priority on our lives, for sure we are going to love Him no matter what. And that's the decision that is coming very soon to the world, believe me. We are going to get to the point that we need to decide if we're going to be in the side of YaHuWaH or we are going to be in the side of the world and of all of those that they believe in mixing truth and lies. So that's why it's so important to understand the truth in order to make the right decision, always trusting in YaHuWaH and the guidance of the Ruach HaKodesh in our heart. So they loved the esteem of the Greeks above everything. So very important about what was going on during that period, the Second Temple period. So they were despising the law, they were forgetting the Torah, and they started to adopt the manners of the Gentiles, the custom of the Greeks, and even the Kohenim, they were neglecting and leaving the service that YaHuWaH shows them to do. Let's continue in Maccabees, the second Maccabees chapter 5, 11 to 16, and it says the following. Now, when this that was done came to the sovereign's ear, he thought that YaHuWaH has revolted. So, departing from Mizraim in a rage, he took the city by force or arms, and commanded his men of battle not to spare any they met, but to slay any who went up on the houses. Again, you can see what was going on after the Yahudim decided to love the world and not to love YaHuWaH. They became enemy of YaHuWaH. YaHuWaH was sending all of this to them because of that. Verse 13 said, "Thus there was a slaughter of young and old, doing away with men, women, and children." Unbelievable. Slain of maidens and infants. And there were 80,000 destroyed within the space of 3 whole days. 80,000 people killed in 3 days, of which 40,000 were slain in the battle, and no fewer sold than slain. So some people died, and other people were sold as slaves. And if you check the scriptures in the prophets, in the Nevi'im, there's many places that they is talking about this, about selling my children to the Greeks. So I don't remember where it is now, but you can look it for yourself. So let's continue in verse 15. Yet was he not content with this, who? Antiochus Epiphanes, but presumed to go into the most Kodesh Hechal of all the world, the temple, Menelaus being his guide. Menelaus, I think, if I'm not wrong, was the successor of Jason. You know, Jason took the position of Kohen Hagadol from his brother Onyah. What happened with Onyah? Onyah hid himself when he had a lot of problems, and Jason took the position. And in other moment, and you can read in the same book, somebody sent another person to kill Onyah. So Onyah was killed. Jason was taking the position of Kohen Hagadol for a period of time, but he needed to escape. He didn't last that much, and Menelaus took he didn't took the position, but he controlled the city somehow. Okay, that traitor to the laws, and again, that's why it's very important you can read this book. You will find all of these little and tiny details that are tiny but important. That traitor to the laws and to his own country. 16 says, and taking the Kodesh vessels, the set apart vessels, with polluted hands and with profane hands, pulling down those that were dedicated by other sovereigns to the adornment and esteem and honor of the place, he gave away. So this was Antiochus Epiphanes going in the Hechal, in the most Kodesh place, set apart place, where only the Kohanim can enter. He went and entered and took all the vessels out for the service of the house of YaHuWaH. Unbelievable. Let's continue. Maccabean Bet, the second Maccabees, 6:1-11. Not long after this, the sovereign sent an old man of Athens, and please keep attention on this because it's very important. So Antiochus Epiphanes, after all of that, he sent a wise man. Some people said that a senator. It said an old man from Athens, from Greece, to compel the Yahudim. To compel on what? To depart from the laws of their fathers and not to live after the laws of Elohim. So they were pushing so much to the Yahudim, to the people, to forget the Torah, not to walk in the Torah, not to walk according to what YaHuWaH was telling them, and to also pollute the Hejal, the temple in Jerusalem, and to call it the temple of Zeus Olympus. Wow. And you will understand why is all of this. And the one in Gerizim of Zeus, the defender of foreigners, as those that dwelt in the place desire. The coming of this trouble was very grievous to the people, for the Hejal, the temple, was filled with loose behavior and revelry by the Gentiles, who played with the horse and went aside with women in the borders of the Kodesh place, the set apart places, and besides that, brought in objects that were not right. Wow, he did all of this. There's a lot of problems around the Hejal, and these old men bring objects that were not right or prescribed by YaHuWaH in his Torah. And listen what else he did. Number 5, the altar was also filled with abominations which the law forbids. So they were doing everything against Torah. Okay? Neither was it allowed for a man to guard the Shabbat days and ancient feasts. So what happened? They started to forget the days. They started to follow another customs. They started to follow another way of life. They forgot they were not allowed to guard the Shabbat and the Moedims, or to profess himself to all to be a Yahuwah. And listen to this, because this is quite amazing. And every month in the day of the sovereign birth, they were taken under bitter constraint to eat of the offering. So this Antiochus Epiphanes, and I read this in another place, I think, he was celebrating his birthday every month. Okay? And during that day, that very day, they were doing this to the Yahuwim. They were taken under bitter constraint to eat of the offering, and when the fast of Dionysius was kept, the Yahuwim were compelled to go in the procession of Dionysius carrying ivy. So you see, Antiochus Epiphanes was pushing so hard to the Yahuwim to forget the Torah, to forget the way of life, to adopt the manners of the Greeks. So they totally changed during that period the way that they were serving YaHuWaH, the way that they used to serve YaHuWaH. Let's continue. This is in Maccabees Aleph. This is first Maccabees, and this is again very important information. And keep in mind what we are discussing is about all the disputes about the calendar. And you know, in order to keep the feast and the Torah, we need to understand the calendar. If we are not understanding the calendar of YaHuWaH and we are adopting other custom from other people that are following another calendars, we will have a tremendous problem, because we are not going to be able to serve YaHuWaH according to his will. So it says the following: then some of the people were so bold in this. These are a group of Yahudim that they were saying, let's go and make a covenant with the Greek and with the sovereign. So they were so bold in this that they went to the sovereign, who gave them authority to do according to the laws of the Gentiles. Wow. So these people got the authority in order to push the Yahudim. And those peoples were Yahudim, a group of Yahudim. They were to entire people, having the authority from the king to do according to the laws of the Gentiles. So they built a place of training at Jerusalem according to the customs of the Gentiles, and made themselves as uncircumcised. See, and forsook the Kodesh covenant. So even they were trying to hide his circumcision. And this is an important topic that maybe in the future we will talk about. And they were not circumcising their children. And this is the most important thing considering about the calendar. And forsook the Kodesh covenant, and joined themselves to the Gentiles, and were sold to do evil. So they changed completely. Was a big change, as I said before. Was a core change. Verse 20, it says, And after Antiochus had smitten Mizraim, he returned again in the 143rd year. You know, the first book and the second book is somehow retelling the story about what happened, okay? So that's why we will see some of things that are somehow repeated, but with another angle and with more information. So he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. And he entered proudly into the Mikdash. The Mikdash is the temple, and took away the golden altar. The golden altar is the golden altar for incense in the Kodesh place, and the lampstand of light, the menorah, and all its utensils, and the table of the showbread, and the bowls of pouring, and the vessels, and the gold fire holders, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that there were before the Hal, the temple, all which he pulled off. Unbelievable, he took all the Kodesh vessels, the menorah, the showbread table, the golden altar. He took everything. He polluted everything, because no any man could enter to those places, just the Kohanim. And it says in the 23, he also took the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. He also took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went to his own land, having made a great slaughter, and spoken very proudly. And sovereign Antiochus wrote to his whole reign, and listen to this, that all should be one people. So he was pushing the entire kingdom to be just one people. How you make that a reality? And maybe some of you had studied about what happened with the Roman Empire. They wanted to do exactly the same. How you can do it? How you can push a big kingdom to be as one people? You need to have just one language. You need to have one education system. You need to have just one economy, and you need to have one set of law, and you need to have one set of belief, one religion. So it sounds like what everybody's talking about, a new world order, for example. So that's the only way to, if you're having a big kingdom, to make it work as one people. So that's why he was pushing so hard on the Yahudim to forget the Torah and forget the laws. And let's continue. So that all should be one people, and everyone should live his laws. This is what I already said. So all the Gentiles agreed according to the command of the sovereign. And listen to this. Even many of the Israelites also agreed to his belief, and slaughtered to idols and profaned the Shabbat. So even the Yahudim also agreed with the sovereign, and it was a great division between the people. A big group of people that were listening to the sovereign, to Antiochus, and they were forgetting the Torah, all their customs, all the way of YaHuWaH, and they were following the way of the Greeks. But there was another group, always YaHuWaH save a remnant, that because that's the only way, and we read it in the part 1 of this study, to keep the seed of Israel as he promised to Abraham. Let's continue in the 44. For the sovereign had sent letters by messengers to Jerusalem and the cities of YaHuWaH that they should follow the foreign laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and slaughterings and drink offerings in the Hachal, in the temple, and that they should profane the Shabbatot and the festival days. How they can profane the Shabbatot and the festival days? In two ways, but not keeping it, but sacrificing to idols, or by keeping it in different days. That's a possibility. And pollute the Mikdash and the Kodesh place, the temple, and the Kodesh people. Put up altars and asherim and temples of idols, and offer pig's flesh and unclean beasts. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their beings abominable with all manner of uncleanness and abomination, so that they might forget the Torah and change all the laws. Sounds familiar to you, that phrase, that statement? For me, it is, and you will see it soon. So, he was pushing again to all the people to forget the Torah and to change all the laws. Now, on the 15th day of the month Kislev, in the 145th year, they put up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the cities of YaHuWaH on every side. Who? So I think this is something that you are aware of, or something you know about it, the abomination of desolation. So all of this is related to the abomination of desolation and that's why we can make a strong connection with Daniel. So let's take a look on that. So what we have in the book of Daniel, chapter 11, verse 31, it says the following: and strong ones shall arise from him and profane the set apart place. It seems familiar to what we already read in the Maccabees, right? The stronghold, and shall take away that which is continual, no more slaughterings, no more burnt offerings, and set up the abomination that lays waste. It's exactly what Antiochus Epiphanes did. But how is this related to the calendar disputes? So let's see what Daniel is telling us. In the chapter 7, verse 25, when he's talking about the beast and he's talking about the fourth beast, he's saying this: and it speaks words against the Most High, and it wears out the set apart ones of the host, the Most High. What Antiochus did? Exactly this. And it intends to change appointed times and law. What? Appointed times and law. He wanted to change the times and the law. And they are giving into its hand for a time and times and half a time. So all of what Antiochus Epiphanes did during the Second Temple period was the first fulfillment of Daniel prophecy. You know, everything is a foreshadow of things to have, to pass, or to come. I think it is written in Kohelet that there's nothing new under the sun. Everything that already passed is going to happen again. And that's why when Yahushua said in Matthew 24, about the prophecies of the last days, he said that the abomination of desolation will be set up in the altar in the last days. So this doesn't invalid what happened with Antiochus, because it's exactly the Moedim. Everything is repeating. It's a kind of a cycle. So if we are rehearsing the Moedim year by year, it means that the prophecy somehow also has a one and second and sometimes third fulfillment. So the Antiochus one is the first fulfillment, and you know, he's declaring the end from the beginning. That's why we need to remember the events of old. So if we understand all the events that were happening during Antiochus Epiphanes, we will understand what will happen in the last days as well. So this was the fulfillment, the first fulfillment with Antiochus of the prophecy of Daniel. So what he did, he changed the laws and the times. So it's quite simple connecting with the prophecy of Daniel, and also reading all the passages in Maccabees, that he changed everything. He changed the Torah, he changed the laws, and changing the laws and forbidding to keep the Shabbats and the Moedim, and keeping his birthdays every month. He was changing everything to the Yahuwahs, and believe me, after this, everything changed completely because they were adopting a new calendar. If you don't believe me, let's continue. So that was the testimony of the book of Maccabees. Let's see the testimony of the Dead Sea Scroll. So, you know, I haven't read completely the Dead Sea Scroll because it's a lot of material. I have been consulting time to time different materials, and I can testify that the Dead Sea Scrolls is a witness of a calendar based on the sun, moon, and the stars. So why is this important? Because of this, let me show you some examples. This is a scroll of the Dead Sea Scrolls, called the 11 QPSA. And it says the following: Now David, the son of Jesse, was wise and shone like the light of the sun, and a scribe and man of discernment, blameless in all his ways before Elohim and humankind. YaHuWaH gave him a brilliant and discerning spirit, so that he wrote Psalms 3,600, songs to sing before the altar, accompanying the daily perpetual burnt offering for all the days of the year, 364. Sounds familiar? Yes. What he's saying, that David wrote 364 psalms for each one of the year for every burnt offering. He also, for the Shabbat offering, 52 songs. How many weeks, how many Shavuos we have in a year? 52. Just make the math. And for the Kodesh offering and all the festival days and the Day of Atonement, 30 songs. So one of the scrolls, and they are calling, I think, Apocrypha, Psalms Apocrypha, are all of these missing psalms that we don't have in our scriptures, in order to get until the 364. So the connection we have here with what is written in the book of Hanoch is quite important, about as a testimony on the calendar based on the sun, moon, and stars. So we have another scroll called the 4Q317. This is talking about the phases of the moon. The 4Q318 is the calendar of the heavenly signs. And basically, there are more scrolls that are talking about the calendar, that the community on Qumran and in Damascus, because they were in two places, in the desert close to Qumran and also in Damascus. They are a witness of a different calendar, different from the moon-based calendar. They were having a calendar based on the sun, moon, and stars, all the luminaries. And also, when you start reading the Dead Sea Scroll, you can see in all over the place, mainly, that these scrolls seems to be being written by the sons of Zadok. And you know, and you can do this investigation as well. It seems that some of the sons of Zadok, the priest sons of Zadok, they separated themselves from Jerusalem, when all of this with Antiochus Epiphanes, with Jason, with all the pushing to forget the Torah was happening, and all the events that were happening with the position of the Kohen Hagadol was happening. People were taking this position, even during the Hasmonean as well, during the Maccabees. YaHuWaH Maccabee was Shimon, his brother, was another, I think it was called Yahuhanan. In one moment, they were taking the position of a Kohen Hagadol, and they are not proof at all that they were descendant of Zadok. And we know that the only people that they were allowed to take that position, also for sure by determination of YaHuWaH, were the descendant of Zadok, the descendant of Aharon. So a lot of things were going on the period of the Second Temple period, and here we have the witness of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So I'm gonna refer here to this lady. She's a professor of the Hebrew University. Her name is Rachel Elliott. She is a scholar, basically, and a specialist on the Dead Sea Scrolls, and actually she has been reading a lot of books regarding the topic and providing lectures about that. Actually, there is an important lecture. You can find this in YouTube. I recommend you to listen to it. Believe me, the information she's exposing is very important. So actually, I want to play for you a bit part of this video. Just let me put it over here for you, and let's see. Please listen to it.
In 175 before the Common Era, King Antiochus Epiphanes, the Seleucian king, had conquered the land of Israel and had imposed his idea of what was called bureaucratical order. He wanted to nominate his people in the temple, because the temple was a place where sacrifices were offered for the sake of the king, not the Jewish king, for the sake of the ruler, according to the perception of Antiochus. He wanted to collect taxes in relation to ceremonial things in the temple. He wanted to organize the kingdom according to one calendar, a lunar calendar of the Greek Empire. That was their calendar for years and years. When he approached the Jerusalem temple and he had ordered the officiating priest, Jason III, to officiate according to a new lunar calendar, the high priest had refused, and he said, "We will do everything you want, but we cannot officiate the temple according to a lunar calendar, because we have a different system." The book of Daniel, chapter 7, is telling us in an elusive way, the revolution that had occurred in the days of a king that wanted to change laws and times, to change calendars and customs of days of gone by. However, to make a long story short, before King Antiochus Epiphanes, that's Antiochus IV, had conquered Jerusalem and had imposed a new lunar calendar, for 1,000 years, nearly 1,000 years, there had been another system, not a Seleucian system. It was the temple in Jerusalem. Now, we don't know much about it more than it's written in the biblical historiography. We know about the temple from the time of David. We know about the temple from the book of Kings, from the book of Chronicles. We have quite a lot of tradition about the temple, but we don't know quite a few details. The Dead Sea Scrolls telling us new things about the temple. They are telling us that the temple was arranged the temple worship was arranged according to a solar calendar. I don't wish.
So hear that. What was the calendar that the Greeks were following and pushing the YaHuWaH to follow? She said, and she's an expert. I'm not an expert at all. He has been studying.
Wish to pass a verdict whether this is a historical truism from the days of David or whether this
is the lunar calendar. So it's important, the connection, because I already talked about this in the calendar video, in the calendar foundation, how we have adopted for centuries, and Judaism has adopted a lunar calendar. And all of this started, as she was explaining, when Antiochus Epiphanes was pushing for the YaHuWaH to adopt the Greek customs. So everything is connected, and just we checking that, we can understand that during the Second Temple period started everything. The Dead Sea Scrolls revealed to us, together with the Maccabees, that there were two calendar systems during the days of Yahushua, and this is quite important for what we are going to study regarding the chronology of events of Yahushua, death, and resurrection. But that's not the only witness we have, okay? So let's continue. We have evidence of two calendar systems, believe it or not, in the Brit Hadashah, in the Messianic scriptures, in the so-called New Testament. And if this is the first time you hear this, believe me, it's my first time as well, because this was the second thing that Abba opened my eyes during Shabbat to this truth. So believe me, this is also mind-blowing, and it's amazing how YaHuWaH is opening our eyes. And this is with a purpose. He's preparing us for something. So let's take a look. So yes, as you can read over there, we have interesting stories in the writing of the Brit Hadashah. Like what? So Yehohanan, the apostle, the disciple, in his book, in the chapter 5:1, he said the following: After this there was a festival of the YaHuWaH, and Yahushua went up to Jerusalem. A festival of the YaHuWaH. Quite rare. Why he's mentioning it like that? I don't know. So he's doing it again in the chapter 6:4. He said, and the Pesach was near, the festival of the YaHuWaH. Again, why he's calling it the festival of the YaHuWaH? And he's doing it again in the chapter 7:2. It says, and the festival of the YaHuWaH was near, the festival of Sukkot. Again, he's calling it the festival of the YaHuWaH. And he's doing it again on the chapter 11, 55 and 56. And it says the following: Now the Pesach of the YaHuWaH was near, and many went from the country up to Jerusalem before the Pesach to set themselves apart. So again, why Yehohanan is calling all the Moedims the festival of the YaHuWaH? He's also YaHuWaH. So why he's calling his feast, YaHuWaH's feast, YaHuWaH's Moedim, the festival of the YaHuWaH? Why he's not calling it just the Moedim, the festivals, or our festivals? He's calling it the festival of the YaHuWaH. Maybe for a reason, And I wanted to share this one with you as well, the 55 on Yehohanan, John 11. It says, and so they were seeking Yahushua during Pesach, and spoke among one another, standing in the set-apart place. What do you think? Is he not coming to the festival at all? why the Yahudim that were going before to Jerusalem for Pesach to set themselves apart, maybe taking a mikvah, a tevilah in a mikvah, they were thinking that maybe Yahushua were not going to participate in the festival, when we know that we have 3 festivals. Unleavened bread is one of the, we are commanded to go to Jerusalem. So why in the world they can think that maybe Yahushua were not going to participate? It's an interesting question. But let's continue. Let's continue to another evidence. And let's read Luke chapter 2, verse 41, 42, 43, and 46. And this is talking about the Yahushua when he was 12 years old, and this is very important, very interesting. And it says the following: and his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the festival of Pesach. You see, Lucas is not calling it the festival of the Yahudim as a YaHuWaH. Why? I don't know. Let's continue, but it's interesting anyway. The 42, and when he was 12 years old, they went up to Jerusalem according to what? The practice of the festival. For me, it's a very interesting way to call it, the practice of the festival. So when Yahushua was 12 years old, they went to Jerusalem according to the practice of the festival. And 43 says, when they had accomplished the days as they returned. What days? You know, when they go to Jerusalem for Pesach, they need to stay for the complete 7 days of unleavened bread, Had Hamatzot. So when they completed the Had Hamatzot, that's the accomplishment of the days. So after the 21st of the first Chodesh, when the Had Hamatzot has completed, in the 22nd most probably, they returned. And as they returned, the child Yahushua stayed behind in Jerusalem. Why Yahushua stayed in Jerusalem if they already accomplished the days of the feast? And his parents did not know it. And the 46, it says the following: and it came to be after 3 days. So Yahushua, the 12 years old Yahushua, was lost 3 days. Actually, he wasn't lost. His parents didn't know where he was. So after 3 days that they found him, where? They found him in the set apart place, sitting in the midst of the teachers, both listening to them and asking them questions. What Yahushua was doing? He was teaching, and keep that in mind. He was teaching. So he stayed 3 additional days on the feast of unleavened bread, in the college place where all men has to go for unleavened bread, and he was teaching. Interesting. Let's read YaHuWaH, John chapter 7, 2, 37, 53, and 8, 1, 2. You can read the whole passage. I just selected, for time, for space here, for space limitation, just selected these verses, but I'm gonna go explain, and again you can read it by yourself. And it says verse 2, and the festival of the Yahudim was near. What festival? The festival of Sukkot. We know this is in the 7th Chodesh, and it's a festival that lasts for 7 days, since the 15th until the 21, and in the 22nd we have the 8th great day, okay, the last day of the festival. And it says exactly this: and on the last day, the great day of the festival, this is in the 22nd, Yahushua stood and cried out, saying, if anyone thirsts, let him come to me, and let him who believes in me drink. If you can read the whole context after that, from the 37 till the 53, you see that you will find a lot of discussion with the Pharisees and other stories and so on. And just in one moment, it says the following: and each one went to his own house. Why? Because the feast already finished. It was the 22nd, so everybody went back home. And if we continue in the 8, 1, and 2, because this is the 53 is the final verse of the chapter 7, it says the following: and Yahushua went to the Mount of Olives. So everybody went back home to the different places that were living in the land of Israel. Yahushua went back to the Mount of Olives that is in front of Jerusalem. And at dawn, so the next day, when the day was starting, he came again into the set apart place. And all the people were coming to him, and having sat down, he was teaching them. He came back again to the set apart place, and he was teaching. The same pattern we see in Lucas. He stayed longer. So, as you can read over there, isn't it interesting that Yahushua stayed longer in Jerusalem during Moedim? For me, it's very interesting. Why? When he was 12 years old in Pesach, and also when he was an adult in the festival of Sukkot. Very interesting. But not convinced yet? You are not convinced yet of what we are seeing here about the behavior of Yahushua on those things? And keep in mind what we are discussing about the different calendars that happened during the Second Temple period and during Yahushua's day. So if you're not convinced yet, let's check this one, because this was totally amazing for me during the Shabbat. And it's this one. It's the same verse in the 7 to 14. It's the same one that we were checking over here, but with more details. It says the following: and the festival of the Yahuvim was near, the festival of Sukkot. And let's listen this, because it's impressive. So his brothers said to him, get away from here and go into YaHuWaH, so that your taught ones also see the works that you are doing. For no one acts in secret while he himself seeks to be known openly. If you do these works, show yourself to the world. For even his brothers did not believe in him. So basically, his brothers were challenging him, or were mocking him, saying, come on, go there. It's the festival of Sukkot. Go to Jerusalem in YaHuWaH and start showing yourself. Show your works. But what was the answer of Yahushua? This is quite amazing. And keep in mind that we are talking about times, different calendars. And listen what he said. Yahushua therefore said to them, my time has not yet come, but your time is always ready. Wow. Why he said my time has not yet come? What does it mean? Let's continue reading. It is impossible for the world to hate you. Why? Because they were following the same customs of the world. But it hates me because I bear witness of it that its works are wicked. Because he was not following the world. And by not following the world, he has a witness that the works of the world are wicked. Let's continue. You go up to this festival. I am not yet going up to this festival, for my time has not yet been filled. I think it's quite clear what he's saying here. I'm not going to the festival because it's not the time for me to go yet. It's not the right time for me to go yet to the festival. Please connect this to the topic that we are discussing about the calendar to understand what Yahushua is saying. Let's continue in the 9. And having said this to them, he stayed in Galilee. They were living in Galilee, and they needed to go to Jerusalem. It's a long walk. It's a long distance. in order to go from Galilee to Jerusalem. So their brothers went to Jerusalem and he stayed in Galilee. Let's listen, let's continue. But when his brother had gone up to the festival, so his brothers already went, then he also went up, not openly, but as it were in secret. Somebody can believe that maybe, yeah, he went immediately and he was in secret and nobody noticed him. But again, he went when his time was filled, as he said. So let's continue in order to clarify this, that it was in secret, just to understand when he appeared. So in the 11th said, the Yahudim therefore were seeking him at the festival. So the festival already started. And the Yahudim started to look for Yahushua, ask him, where is he? Nobody saw him. Everybody was looking for him, but in the middle of the festival already started on the 15th day of the Chodesh, and Yahushua wasn't there, nobody could see him. And let's continue. And there was much grumbling about him among the crowd. Some were saying, he is good, but others were saying, no, but he's leading the crowd astray. How he was leading the crowd astray? Could it be that maybe because he was following another dates, another calendar, another customs? Let's see. 13 it says, however, no one spoke openly of him for fear of the Yahudim. And the 14, this is amazing. And about the middle of the festival, Yahushua went up into the set apart place and he was teaching. The same behavior that we see when he was 12 years old, that he stayed 3 more days in the set apart place and he was teaching. The same behavior that he was an adult and he was staying in the set apart place, he was teaching. We see it over here. But when he appeared and he went to the set apart place in the middle of the festival. But this is quite amazing. Why? Because of this reason. We read in Deuteronomy, verse 16, chapter 16 and verse 16, it says the following: 3 times a year all your males appear before YaHuWaH, your Elohim, in the place which he chooses. What's that place? It's Jerusalem, the college place. The same college place, the set apart place where Yahushua went in the middle of the festival. So what are the 3 times a year? At the festival of Matzot, and at the festival of Shavuot, and at the festival of Sukkot. And none should appear before YaHuWaH empty-handed. And you know, the festival of Sukkot is starting in the 15th day and lasting until the 21st, and then you have the 22nd, the 8th great day. And we have a Shabbat, a Mikra Kodesh in the 15th, a Mikra Kodesh in the 22nd. But Yahushua went on the middle of the festival. He wasn't there according what is written in this whole account. He wasn't in the Mikra Kodesh in the 15th. So he was not following the commandment. So can we understand that Yahushua was breaking Torah, but not going to Jerusalem on the first day of Sukkot? We know that breaking Torah means sin. And we know that Yahushua didn't sin. So how we can understand that? Very simple. Yahushua was keeping a totally different calendar. I think it's quite clear, the explanation, just reading the scriptures. This doesn't give a space for interpretation. It's just reading and letting the scripture speak by itself. So in summary, the key number 1, Antiochus Epiphanes forced the Yahudim to forget the Torah and to follow all manners of the Gentiles. all manners of the Gentiles, including following a lunar calendar, as we listened to Rachel earlier. Point number 2, the position of the Kohen Hagadol was usurped by people not from the lineage of Aharon Sadok. This is very important, and we will understand this later. Point number 3, Daniel prophesied about what Antiochus Epiphanes did, saying that he will intend to change the time and the law. And he changed the time. They started to use a totally different calendar. And it's the same calendar that they have been keeping until today. Number 4, the Dead Sea Scrolls were written during the same period and reveals the different calendar used by the Yahudim versus those of the Way. They call themselves the Way. Interesting as well. Yahuhanan called the Moedim the festival of the Yahudim. Why? Because the Yahudim were using a lunar calendar, not the calendar that we're supposed to follow. Yahushua stayed longer in the Hechal, in the temple during the Moedim, and we have the examples and the support in the scriptures. And the most important one, Yahushua kept a different calendar than the Yahudim. And I think the evidence, we have it over there. We have the witnesses, and we have a clear evidence that Yahushua were keeping a different calendar, because that's the only explanation that he was not breaking Torah by not participating in the first day of Sukkot and just going in the middle of the week. Okay, part 3, we will review if Yahushua ate his last Pesach or not, and we are entering in the topic. I think we already have a strong foundation in order to start checking what happened during Yahushua's death, burial, and resurrection. It's late here, it's almost 4 a.m. So I will go to sleep. I need to continue working in this presentation, but believe me, what we are seeing here, what I am sharing with you, is so amazing, so important information. I feel humble, believe me. I'm the least of everybody, most probably. But having the opportunity from YaHuWaH to understand all of this is something that maybe we don't deserve. But he is so kind to us that he's given us the opportunity to understand his truth. And it's quite amazing to see and have the evidence that what was happening during that period, the two calendar system. And because it's the same thing that we are seeing today, and it's the same transition that I'm doing now in this year, and maybe it's the same transition that you also are doing. And to understand that Yahushua was following a different calendar as well, it filled my heart, but so much that I feel this joy internally that now I'm following his steps in a kind of new beginning. And I have no doubt that this is because of something. He's preparing me, he's preparing you, he's preparing me for something that he wants for us, and for something that is coming to the world very soon. So please meditate in all of this. We're still missing an important part of the study, but I think with all what we have been seeing so far, we can have a strong foundation about what happened during Yahushua's death and resurrection week. With all we have seen in the part 1 and part 2, it's going to be, believe me, much easier to understand what happened during that week. So again, thank you for watching this video. I hope this was clear. If it's not, send me, the email, and I will answer your question as soon as I can. Thank you very much. Toda Rabá, and YaHuWaH be with you all. Shalom.